But more importantly, it's the brand, her reputation. And I can't speak to it as expertly as my co-presenter can. So I'm going to hand it over to David. Thank you.
Thanks, Francesca. I'm going to talk to you about personal branding and the experience of you. What Francesca said was very interesting about how do you want to show up? You can design this. You can create the experience of you, of what you want people to feel when they see you. We know that first impressions are critical. We know that they are based on instant snap judgments. How are you going to make those snap judgments work in your favor? One is not only what you wear, but one is the simple task of smiling, of approaching somebody and being friendly. I want to backtrack 1 second before I go on and talk about happiness. It's really fascinating. We've all experienced this. We all hear this. We have friends, we have ourselves say, I just want somebody to make me happy. Make me happy. That is a big ask. And if we're not trying to make ourselves happy, if we're not concentrating on and staying aware of what we can do so that we're feeling better and progressing with confidence, how can we expect to throw that on other people and have them make us happy? It's very fascinating. I want you guys to listen to that in the future. When you hear people say that, they're pushing the responsibility of making themselves happy on others. So personal brand, let's talk about a little bit about what it is. This is the best quote ever about personal brand. Jeff Bezos. What do you want people to say after you've left the room? What do you want people to say after you've left the room? You've gone in, you've made a first impression, there's a snap judgment, you're at a networking event, you're at a social event, and you're leaving. What do you want people to think about you? Do you want them to think that you're caring, funny, intelligent, and active listener? What is that impression that you want to leave? If you don't design, if you don't think about what that experience of you is going to be, you're missing the point. You have to try and control what you want people to think about you, feel about you, how they respond to you. You already have a personal brand, whether or not you know it or not. I've highlighted 2 words. Personal brand is a perception maintained by others. We all have ideas about corporate brands that we like, Nike versus Under Armour, Google versus Apple, whatever those are going to be. Those are our personal perceptions of those brands and the relationship we have in there. Comcast, horrible relationship based on customer service. So personal brand, you have it, it's set by others, it describes the qualities and the relationships of that person's relationship with you, good or bad. Brand is relationship. Here's a fact, 75% of jobs now come through referral or recommendation. 75% of jobs now come through referral or recommendation. That means if you're the person who's dedicated to sending everything in through Indeed or LinkedIn Jobs, you're missing the boat. You're missing the opportunity to be hired in the way that the industry is moving forward. So the takeaway for you all today is you are in the relationship business from now on, and you're in the relationship business. You will be from a position of feeling genuine and authentic and designing the experience in the way that you want to be seen by others. Impressions become perceptions. So if we don't manage these first impressions that we try to set, if we're just cavalier about those, you can see where misperceptions ensue. And we've all experienced this. If you take a look at the perceptions on the right side, there's a fine line between perceptions. And if you're not trying to put your best foot forward and create how you want to be seen by others, you are allowing yourself to be seen in the wrong way by others. When you commit to strong first impressions, you don't have to work harder to change misperceptions. The benefits, when you are perceived more accurately. Science shows when people see you and perceive you accurately, happier, positive relations, greater sense of purpose. Others believe you are trustworthy. We all want to do business and have friends that we know, like, and trust. You have more confidence in yourself. You have easier communications and relationships. Is there any reason not to work a little bit harder to ensure that you are perceived accurately when you see a list like this? And that's a rhetorical question, because I know there's no answer not to. Self-doubt. We talked about self-doubt a little bit, and personal branding is the process of understanding yourself, identifying your values, and knowing what is near and dear to your heart and the goals that you want to have. Yet we're all human, and we set up barriers to our own success. We self-sabotage each other. We struggle with beliefs that are not positive, and we have internal conversations with each other. Oh, I'm not going to apply to that job online. 147 people already did. Who cares? If you feel confident about yourself, if you know how to present yourself, you don't care if there's 1,000 people. So stop having internal conversations with yourself that start with the word, I can't, or the phrase, I can't, I won't be able to. Just stop it. This is part of the self-awareness. When you see and hear yourself in conversation with yourself and it's not positive, you have to recognize it, be aware of it, and get yourself off of it. Worry is the thief of joy. When you play in the space of self-doubt, you have no space for joy. Don't worry about what you can control. We've heard that many a times. In fact, the quick story about behind that for me is that I heard that in college. And I don't know who the genius philosopher was, but I'm pretty sure he probably had a bong in his right hand. But regardless, that stuck with me. Don't worry about what you can't control. And you know what? It takes practice. It takes practice. And I had to practice. I would listen to people. I'd listen to negativity, and I would try and get myself involved in things I had no control over or worry about it. All this does is take away space and energy in your mind and your heart for things that bring you joy. So why would you want to make sure that your brand, that you're living your brand, and that you're not worrying? It's because we live in a world that's trying to make you something else. Now, Ralph Waldo Emerson only wrote this in about 1840. Can you imagine that? And look at what we're dealing with today. We've got a fractured nation and globe. We've got people trying to tear each other down for sport. We're living in a society in which social media is predominant, and it's fake, and it's harmful, and it's addictive. And that's what is trying to tear society down, maybe tear you down. So staying true to yourself, understanding who you are, your brand, your core values, is even more important today than it was to our friend Ralph in 1841. Your strong personal brand. How do we get there? It's not 5 tips and tricks. If you Google personal brand in Google, you get like 25 pages, 1 million different entries on how to. It is a process. It's a process of self-discovery, determination, and awareness that I'll be describing. But it's really about being intentional and understanding the experience of you that you want to create for others. And it's based on your values, your standards, your style, and developing relationships, the key to your future, and a roadmap for your success.